Hola Ateros, welcome back to the Ammo Check, where we just talk about the state of the club. Remember, like and subscribe. And the last video I made was 2 weeks ago, and the feeling around the club was definitely different there. We hadn't signed anyone, our rivals were doing business, and it seemed like no one was coming over to help us. And since then, we've made 2 signings. We have another one that's likely to be announced maybe tomorrow, and we've been kind of closely linked to 2 more guys, Gyökeres and Eze. And then with every transfer window, we have the Chelsea link. So this video, I want to kind of speak about the feeling around the club. And I can honestly say that it's mixed. Because on one hand, you get the Gyökeres news and it's like, oh, we're this close to signing them. And then, as Arsenal do, they give you great news and then they slap you upside the head with the bad news. And the bad news for most Arsenal fans, we're going after Nani Madueke for £50 million from Chelsea. And I can honestly say this is the first time in a long time that I've seen pretty much 90% of the fans band together and say, we don't want anything to do with him. We don't want Nani Madueke, and we definitely don't want him for £50 million. Unfortunately, it seems like the club have submitted an offer. But I didn't want to talk about kind of the transfers. That's what Transfer Tango is for. You guys check that out. What I wanted to talk about is the feeling behind Chelsea, how we feel about Chelsea, especially when it comes to the transfer window. And I think that fans are becoming, some fans are already there, but fans are becoming tired of us continuously doing business with Chelsea, but not doing good business. Like, I can't remember the last good signing we had from Chelsea. I've only been a fan for a decade, and I think the best signing, as I said in my other videos, was Cech and maybe David Luiz. It hasn't worked out for us, but it seems like every window we're linked with someone from Chelsea. The last one, of course, Kai Havertz, Raheem Sterling, and now it's not a matter what we've gotten Kepa, but I kind of say Kepa he's a Chelsea signing, but we could have gotten Kepa for that money from anyone, and I think everybody would have been like, meh, right? It's more the Nani Madueke for £50 million, and I think fans are just annoyed with the fact that we continue to give Chelsea big sums of money for players that aren't really going to, make us into that team that we want to be. I mean, Chelsea are winning in Europe. Chelsea have won the Prem, and we keep taking their players and not winning anything. And I think it's frustrating for fans. But I also wanted to kind of give an insight, not really insight, but my thoughts on why we keep going back to Chelsea. Because it keeps happening, and it's happening too frequently for it to be coincidence. I think that something that you kind of have to think about is Chelsea are in London, and obviously Arsenal in London. And I think people are like, oh, that shouldn't matter. But I think for a team like Arsenal, who we're not a football team, we're like a football corporation, right? Our American owners are business first, football second. And I think that being close to someone like Chelsea, who are now kind of similar. I think Todd Bowley is more business first and football kind of second. And being close to them, I mean, Roman Abramovich was football first. He wanted to win. And yes, he made a lot of money doing it. But I think that our proximity to Chelsea is why these deals keep happening. And when it comes to kind of the stuff outside of football, so when you think about it, visas, admin paperwork, moving players from point A to point B from their old clubs to this one, I think as far as a footballing sense, or as far as a business sense in football, I think Chelsea would probably be your best bet. You're not going to go to Man United for players. You're probably not going to go for Liverpool for players. And if you wanted to stay in London and, you want players of a high caliber, Chelsea would be it. But the issue is we're not getting high caliber players in their prime, because Chelsea don't sell players in their prime, players that are going to help them win. They sell players that they don't want. They sell players that are over the hill. And I think what Arsenal do is they look at those players and say, take Petr Cech and Willian, for example. And I think people don't think about this, but think about visas, right? In order to get a 32-year-old from Argentina versus a 32-year-old who's been in England, who already has, a work permit, the only thing you probably have to do is declare to the government that they're switching jobs, or they're not even switching jobs, they're footballers. So they're switching companies, doing the same job in the same place. I think it's a lot easier than trying to get someone a work visa from Argentina and going through the home office and all that. I think people don't really think about that. Now, when it comes to guys like Nani Madueke, and it comes to guys, like the homegrown guys, I think that it's still kind of that same mindset. How easy is it for it to tell Nani Madueke, oh, you're not going to training in this postcode, you'll come to a different postcode. You don't have to move house. You don't have to move your family. You don't have to move anything. Just show up to a different training ground. You can stay right where you are. And you're a few miles up the road. And I think to Arsenal, that appeals to them more than trying to get someone abroad. As a fan, you don't want to hear that. As a fan, I don't want to hear, oh, we made the easy signing, Nani Madueke, when we could have gotten somebody from Spain. But if I'm Arsenal, if I'm a business, then the money that I would have to pay, because these companies sponsor these players. So it's something that you really don't think about. Like, these companies they have to pay sponsorship fees in order to say to the government, these players are legitimate, they have to be here, we want them. And if I just can bypass that by getting somebody like a Nani Madueke, or someone like a Willian, or someone like a Sterling, who's homegrown, it makes sense. And that's not what we want to hear. It's not what I want to hear as a player. But do I think that it plays a part in how we do business? I think it plays. I think it does play a part how much things outside of football costs. As you know, we do have the English tax, but when it comes to English tax, you don't have to pay for, the admin stuff. If you think about it as well, like guys like, let's say Rodrigo. Rodrigo's making, let's say he's making a million euros a month. When he comes here, even if we paid him £1 million a month, he might make less than he would make abroad. So we'd have to pay him twice that, because the pound and euro are different. So you're paying the same number, but as you know, it's not holding the same weight. So we end up paying more to kind of accommodate these players. And I think we get the short end of the stick. As business people, the Kroenkes care about business, right? The Kroenkes are business first, football second. They're American football first, Arsenal business, Arsenal football. Like, football on the footballing side is probably at the bottom of the list. Whereas, when it comes to making decisions, we want a striker, and the first thing you heard this summer was Arsenal submitting plans to expand the Emirates. Like, that shows you how our owners are thinking. And I think when it comes to buying players, Tim Lewis is not a football man. Richard Garlick's probably not a football man. Josh Kroenke isn't a football man. Stan Kroenke definitely ain't a football man. So they care about making the most. And I think Chelsea appeals to them because they can get players on the cheap, or you can get a Nani Madueke for £50 million in the hope that maybe you might be able to flip him in a couple years for £70 million. The problem with that is we have been notoriously bad for selling. And I don't know if that is the strategy at all to sell players, because our highest sell is still Oxlade-Chamberlain, like £37 million or something like that, and it's just not good business. So when it comes to Chelsea, I think a lot of fans are annoyed at the fact that we keep doing business, but I think you have to think about, the Kroenkes and the board and all this, and what they care about is spending the least amount of money, doing the least amount of things, spending the least amount of time to get the most out of whatever they bring in. And Nani Madueke, yes, you pay £50 million, but you keep a good relationship with Chelsea. I don't know what that means. I don't know why we have to have a good relationship with Chelsea. But you keep a good relationship with Chelsea in the future. And you get a player where you don't have to do much admin. You just tell him to come here, go there. He's from London. It's just an easy bit of business to do. Just like Norgard. If you think about Norgard, could you have probably found someone of better quality from abroad? Yeah, but Norgard was already here. He's in Brentford. He's already in London. How much? Brentford's West London? He probably doesn't even live in London. So all you had to tell Norgard is, hey, show up, instead of showing up in West London, show up at Coney. That's it. It's easy. It's easy. And I think that fans are tired of us taking the easy route when it comes to these types of players. Yeah, you got a Zubimendi, and I think Zubimendi was easy as well because, he's Sociedad. We obviously have some kind of connection with Sociedad, especially Arteta, because we've bought Mikel Moreno. We had Martin Odegaard. So we had some kind of dealings with Sociedad, and it's just easy. I'm tired of easy deals. I think the players and the fans now want the harder deals. We want us to go out there and get who we want. So that's my feelings on the whole Chelsea thing. What else is going on at the club? Well, the preseason has started, so players are showing back up to Coney. The preseason tour will happen, I think, on the 25th. They'll go into Singapore, and I just wish that Arsenal would go somewhere closer. I wish they would go closer. Like, they keep going over there to Singapore. Why don't you go to one of the Caribbean joints? Do preseason in Portugal or something so that we can actually go. But they're going over to Singapore, and on the back of that, they're probably going to drop the new away kit on that. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm not a fan of the away kit. I just think that it could have been great, but the red stripes, they're always going to do this. They're going to have this, and then they're going to have the stripes, and the stripes are red. And I think the whole shirt is blue. The shades are blue. It's white. It looks clean. And then they put the red stripes in there, and it just makes it. It looks, to me, it reminds me of that Man United kit from maybe, was it 21, 22? The one that was light blue, and then they had the red, and the badge was red. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think I will be rushing down to the Armory to get it. Now, if we do sign Gyökeres and put him in it, I could be persuaded, but I'm not going to rush to the Armory for it. I think the home kit is still probably the one that I might go for, but once again, I'm probably not going to go buy a kit until I see who we put in it. So preseason is happening, kit drops, and yeah, as I said, the fan base is mixed. The fan base is really mixed. We're very happy because it seems like Eze bid is coming. It seems like Gyökeres is a few million from happening, and then you drop Nani Madueke, and I think fans are just kind of like, it could have been so great, and then we had to just go into Chelsea's bin, and I think it frustrates people. But I'm excited. I'm going to remain excited. If we get Gyökeres and Eze and Madueke comes in, I'm not going to let that run the window for me. I think he's, whether he works, fine, but it ain't my money. £50 million, it's not my money. Now, if we get Madueke and we don't end up getting Eze and we don't end up getting Gyökeres, then I think the fan base will turn. I think the fan base will turn because we spent all summer waiting on these marquee signings, and your definition of marquee is Madueke, and I just don't think that we're going to go for that. They tried that with the whole Kai Havertz thing. They were talking about Vlahovic, you were talking about Locatelli, and then you pull up with Kai Havertz, and fans were like, yeah, we don't like it, but, we trust the manager. I think that his trust when it comes to talent ID is running out, and I think fans are starting to get frustrated with the fact that every time we think that we're going to get someone good, we end up getting someone out the bargain bin, and it's always Chelsea's bargain bin. And Chelsea are definitely happy to sell to us because they're going to use that money to go get someone else that we probably could have gotten if we had scouted properly. But yeah, I'm going to remain optimistic, and I think the fans should do the same. I think that everyone should remain optimistic. We still have, a couple months to go. Actually, August. So we still have, we still got a month and a half to go. So I'm just going to wait until the window ends. I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. I'm not going to get upset that we haven't signed someone or we signed someone. Kepa, I think, is decent. I think that Norgard would be decent. I think Zubimendi would be decent. So I'm just going to wait until the end of the window. I'm not going to get bent out of shape. But it's definitely reaching a point of the summer where fans are now expecting something to happen. So hopefully in the next week or so, I'm coming back to you guys with a big sign like Gyökeres. Now, I do want to kind of mention the Rodrigo thing before I go. I honestly don't think we're going to get Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo is going to end up staying with Real Madrid. They are playing tonight. They're playing PSG And whether he gets playing time or not, I don't think it's going to matter. It's a summer tournament. I just think it's a long shot, especially with the way we do business. And if you get Madueke, do you really trust that Arsenal going to get Gyökeres as a Madueke and Rodrigo? I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's unrealistic. So, but I'm tempering my expectations. I'm not expecting to get him. So if we do get someone like Eze or Leao, I'll be, presently happy. But I'm not gonna trust the club to, spend 300, 350 to get all of these players. And I'm just gonna ride the wave and hope for the best. So thank you guys for tuning in to another ammo check. Hopefully the next one will have some better news. We'll have some better feelings around the club. And then we're going to wrap things up because this, the season's coming and I'm excited about it. Can't wait to go to OT to bash that lot. Can't wait. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, like and subscribe. See you guys later.